Bred to Win, brought to you by Arrowfield, the home of four-time champion sire Snitzel.
Hello, I'm Searcy. Welcome to a new week of Bred to Win, coming to you from Inglis Riverside Stables at Warwick Farm in Sydney, venue for the 2023 Inglis Chairman sale. Coming up, we'll bring you highlights from one of the most exciting thoroughbred auctions you'll see, as our best race fillies and broodmares are traded to some of the most successful breeding operations in the world. Also, plenty more stallion news, and we catch up with the hugely successful David Ellis of Akau Racing as the Group 1 winners continue in their distinctive tangerine colours. First though, let's check out the latest Aushorse news. The Inglis Chairman sale continued its upwards trajectory last Thursday evening with an action-packed night of extraordinary high prices, deep-felt emotions and joy for some of the breeding industry's biggest buyers and stud operations. The sale record was smashed by So You Think mare Nimmerly, Group 1 winner of the Queen of the Turf Stakes, and with racetrack earnings of $1.75 million, sold by Brett and Rachel Howard's Glenesque Thoroughbreds to Colm Santry Bloodstock and Coolmore Stud. It was an emotional time for Brett Howard, her former owners Lester and Margaret Durney, and Matt Smith stable hand Nikki, who led her through the ring.
We came here, we knew we had a serious mare in Nimmerly. But you know, Montefiore is a serious mare, Icebath is a serious mare, and obviously we knew we were going to be somewhere in the mix in the top three mares in the sale. But to end up being at the top with a sale price of $3.6 million, it's just, yeah, it's staggering result. It's Nikki Hunt, who used to strap her. She led us through the ring, so Nikki was a bit emotional, as you'd expect after she made $3.6 million. The Inglis's have created a great atmosphere. They've been able to, you know, get these elite mares, and when they bring the elite mares, obviously, then they get the elite buyers as well. And I said to Lester, I think this is the right sale for her, and it's proved to be a great result.
Second top lot was another outstanding race mare, Montefiore, by Dali Victoria's Kermadec. The four-time Group 1 winner was bought by Yusheng Zhang's Yulong Farm for $3.4 million.
Last time he goes forever, but Montefiore sells for $3.4 million. Yulong buys, second Yulong.
The mare was presented by Newgate Farm on behalf of her owners and trainer David Payne. A key target for the Yulong team at the sale, she may yet be seen on the racetrack again in the spring.
She went hungry hard in the flight stakes, and you know, she's a fantastic race mare. You know, 4 Group 1 wins and a lovely physical, so we're delighted to secure her. She's got a lot of quality about her, and she's very composed, great mover. And I was just chatting to David Payne. He said he's never had any issues with her. She's just been a great horse to train. So obviously a bit of sentiment for him seeing her be sold, but we're unsure what we'll do at this stage with her. We'll just wait until after the sale, but she may race on in the spring, ahead for the Cox Plate Caulfield Cup sort of route if that's what Mr. Zhang decided he wants to do. She's a lovely mare, and we're delighted to have her and Icebath joining our team.
Oh, I'm going to get emotional. Hey darling, concentrate.
Yulong also secured the third highest priced mare of the sale, Empire Rose Stakes winner and earner of $5.2 million on the track, Icebath, who fetched $2.3 million for her owners. As featured on Bred to Win last week, Rosie Giller was there to the last minute with the mare she'd ridden from her first day in the Bradwood Up stables, taking her through the sales ring.
For $2,300,000.
Are we happy with that?
Oh, I'm so grateful that I'm able to do this with her. It's our one last hurrah. It's very special that we started the journey together and ending the journey together.
Icebath, a huge favourite on the track, and there'll be plenty of people following her breeding career with interest as her first foals arrive at Yearling Farm. On Friday, the Inglis broodmare sale was topped by a full sister to Group 1 winners Werther and Toffee Tongue Candyland. The mare was sold by Holbrook Thoroughbreds to Western Australian agent John Chalmers for $440,000. And last week's Inglis weanling sales toppers included the highest price of $625,000 for a brother to Kiora stud sire and Group 1 winning 2-year-old Captivant. The capitalist colt from Speedboat was sold through Senga Bissett's Ashley Thoroughbreds dispersal to the China Horse Club, Newgate and Trilogy Partnership, hailing from the speed-infused River Dove family. Second top lot was a colt by Deep Field from Cribbage for $300,000 from Fairhill Farm to AB Bloodstock in Victoria. His dam is a half-sister to Group 1 winner Good Project. And the third top lot carried plenty of emotion as the final foal to be sold on behalf of the late legendary New Zealand breeder Sir Patrick Hogan was bought by Gary Harding for $280,000 from the Beamer draft. The Savabeel colt from Trisha O is a descendant of his breed-shaping mares Gay Poss and My Trisha, from who descend Group 1 winners Grosvenor, Mahia, Lankan Rupee, Lonro, La Cizeran and more recent ATC Derby winner Tavago.
Yeah, Bella Nepotina, Ruthless Dame also wider out.
There was high-class stakes racing around Australia with the Group 1 highlight, the Robert Sangster Stakes in Adelaide, won by a daughter of the late Cambridge stud sire Tavistock, Ruthless Dame. From the family of Lady to Hear, Sea Siren and Oratorio, the filly was a 10th Group 1 winner for her sire. Bred by Sir Owen Glenn and sold by Curramore to Kieran Maher Racing for $90,000 at the 2021 NZB yearling sale. The Group 2 Queen of the South Stakes was won by the Hayes Lindsay Park team with Cast, a daughter of Cornerstone stud Sir Prancelot, following on from her Nitschke Stakes win. From the family of Speedy Bell, Speedy Natalie and Silverstream, Cast was a $90,000 Adelaide Magic Millions winner, sold by Cornerstone to Lindsay Park Racing. Sir Prancelot stood the 2022 season at Cornerstone in the Barossa Valley at a fee of $8,800. Fellow 3-year-old filly Royal Merchant was successful in the Group 2 Tobin Bronze Stakes, with her sire Merchant Navy moving to Coringal's start at Wagga Wagga next season at a fee of $13,200.
The Coastfield Dispatch there, off and racing.
The Gosford Race Club put on a magnificent day's racing on the New South Wales Central Coast at its annual standalone autumn meeting. Think About It will feature shortly, but other winners of note included Palmetto taking out the $500,000 The Coast for Carl Holt and John Sargent. By Gibelines, a Darley-bred son of Shamadal and Camarilla, he was previously a dual Guineas winner in New Zealand.
Zaki's digging in with 100 to go.
The Sunshine Coast feature at the meeting moved from the Gold Coast in Queensland was the Group 2 Hollandale Stakes, won for the third time in a row by Annabelle Neesham's stable Star Zaki. The son of Leroydas Animo, who's also sire of Kentucky Derby and Dubai World Cup winner Animal Kingdom, the win took Zaki's earnings to nearly $10.3 million. Yellow Brick, a son of Champagne Stakes winning 2-year-old The Mission, took out the Group 3 Gold Coast Guineas, taking his record to 6 wins from 8 starts. Yellow Brick was bought for $20,000 by his trainers Tony and Madison Sears and Paul Moroney at the 2021 Magic Millions yearling sale. His sire, The Mission, will stand at Queensland's Aquas Farm this season for $8,800, with Yellow Brick from a High Chaparral mare who produced his stakes-winning half-siblings Splendiferous and the ill-fated Ballistic Boy. And the Ken Russell Memorial was won by Russian Revolution's Russian Alliance from a High Chaparral daughter of Langoustine from the family of Royal Academy and Stormcat.
They run into the dip. Chaldean Farside, High Royal just can't run straight.
Always one of the great weekends of global racing, particularly in the UK and the US. Champion racehorse Frankel even further cemented his standing as one of the world's best stallions. His son Stallion won the first of this season's European 3-year-old classics, the English 2000 Guineas, for trainer Andrew Balding and Frankie Dettori in his last Guineas ride before retirement. Stallion is from a Dutch art mare and won the Dewhurst as a 2-year-old. He was bred by Witsbury Manor Stud, with Juddmonte buying him as a foal at the Tattersalls December sale. Frankel put in one of the most memorable race victories of the modern era 12 years ago in the Guineas, with Stallion his first winner of the race and 26th Group 1 winner.
And it's Morge in the blue colours.
And the 1000 Guineas was another European Group 1 success for Australian sire Exceed and Excel, as Morge won for the Darley team. She's from a new approach mare and half-sister to dual Group 1 winner Modern Games.
And they're off in the Kentucky Derby.
America's most famous race, the Kentucky Derby, was won by a horse with a Triple Crown pedigree, Mage, a son of Good Magic.
Two Phil's fights on, but Mage has taken the lead.
He's a grandson of Preakness winner Curlin, and his dam Puka is by Kentucky Derby winner Big Brown. Mage's sire was a Breeders' Cup juvenile winner and runner-up to Justify in the Kentucky Derby. Good Magic stands at Hillendale Farm in America at a fee of $50,000 US. Last year's Inglis Easter yearling sale topper Kandinsky Abstract was a winner on debut at Canterbury last Wednesday. A great result for Connections, who outlaid $3 million for the full brother to star race mare Sunlight. Trained by Chris Waller, the colt featured in our Inglis Easter yearling sale preview, galloping around the Widden stud paddocks. He was sold by Widden in their greatest Easter result in over 150 years of breeding, while his big sister Sunlight was sold for $4.2 million to Coolmore Stud, and her first foal by Justify netted $1.4 million earlier in the year. One of Australia's most successful breeders, given the small population in Tasmania, Armidale Stud will again stand the popular Needs Further and Alpine Eagle in the new season. We caught up recently with Armidale's Dave Wishaw.
We're once again standing Needs Further, who's really our flagship stallion, and we've lowered his fee this year to $5,500, including GST, which I think would make him probably the best value sire in all of Australia. You know, he's only had 7 crops to race. He's thrown Mystic Journey, who's obviously not only a Group 1 winner, but won the inaugural All-Star Mile. He's had 5 individual 2-year-old stakes winners. He's had 7 stakes winners from 7 crops, and 7 very humble crops down here in Tassie. You know, some of his crops he was only covering, you know, high 30s, low 40s in mare numbers, and for him to get a stakes winner out of each of those crops, seven stakes winners from 7 crops to race, I think is quite phenomenal. You know, his winners to runners is outstanding. He descends from Lady Giselle's family, so it's such a great family. He's obviously a half-brother to Hallowed Crown. His biggest book was off the back of Mystic Journey, where he covered over 100 mares, and then he spent the following season in Victoria at Aquas Farm. So his 2 biggest books are just 2-year-olds and yearlings now. So I think the best for Needs Further is yet to come, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity to breed to him at a very, very good value service fee. So I think there'll be plenty of astute local breeders continuing to support him, and there's no doubt every year there's a few mainland breeders that have a look at his pedigree and have a look at what he's done and said, wow, what a wonderful job, we better put our mare on the ship. So I think every year there seems to be a new supporter come from Victoria, New South Wales, South Australia, so hopefully he'll continue to attract some mares from the mainland this year as well. And we're also standing Alpine Eagle, the son of High Chaparral, that started his stud career down with us. He's doing a really, really good job. He's had over 50 individual winners. He's got the star horse down here, Alpine Wolf, who's taken all before him. He's got over 50 individual winners from South Australia to Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, so he's sort of got winners in every state, and his stock seem to be getting better with age. They're definitely not early maturing stock. They're horses that need time both physically and mentally, but he's leaving outstanding physicals that really do have his explosive turn of foot, but they just need a bit of time.
G1 Goldmine this week looks at the great success for those breeding Encosta to Lago mares to I Am Invincible and his sire sons. Encosta mares generally produce 4.8% stakes winners to runners, yet that improves to nearly 19% when crossed with the blood of the reigning champion Australian sire, who stands at Yarraman Park Stud in the Hunter Valley of New South Wales. I Am Invincible, of course, stands for $302,000, but there are plenty of options in his sons, including Darley sire Brazen Bow at $44,000, Vinnie's barnmate Hellbent at $38,500, Home Affairs at Coolmore Stud at $99,000, and a couple of lower-priced stallions, Barbaric at Lyndhurst Farm in Queensland and I Am Immortal at Victoria's Swettenham Stud. The choices continue for Encosta de Lago mares, including more lower-priced Vinnie sons, such as Kobayashi at Aquis in Queensland, Overshare at Widden Stud Victoria, Santos at Highview Stud, Strasbourg at Rosemont Farm and Super One at Lincoln Farm.
Bacchanali in front from Think About It the outside.
One of the most exciting winners in Australia on the weekend was the son of So You Think About It in the listed Takeover Target Stakes at the Gosford Metro meeting. The Stradbroke handicap favourite is from a Flying Spur mare whose half-sister to Gilgai Stakes winner Keena Ray from the family of Hong Kong Mile winner the Duke. Think About It has now won 7 of 8 starts. He was bred by Lightning Thoroughbreds and sold by Newgate Farm to Proven Thoroughbreds and trainer Joe Pride for $70,000 at the 2020 Inglis Premier Yearling Sale. His sire, So You Think, recently had a slight fee increase announced by Coolmore Australia. The 10-time Group 1 winner and last season's champion sire runner-up will stand this spring for $99,000. Time for a break. On Bred to Win, coming up, the extraordinary success story of David Ellis and Karen Fenton Ellis of Akau Racing continues as they bring new investors into the racing industry, regularly rewarding them with racetrack success.
Castleway with first rod on the field, chased by Victory Dancer.
The Cambridge Stud Performance of the Week was a son of Al Manzoor, who led home a Quinella for the Cambridge sire at Newmarket in the UK. Castleway took out the listed Newmarket Stakes, being by Al Manzoor from a Naif mare and half-brother to young Darley sire Palace Pier. Runner-up Circle of Fire was bred by the late Queen Elizabeth and ran for the newly crowned King Charles III and is potentially heading for Group Company at Royal Ascot. Cambridge Stud have set their fees for 2023. Al Manzoor remains at $50,000 NZ plus GST, despite having sired 6 Group 1 performers in his first crop, including Manzois winning the Victoria Derby and Virtuous Circle runner-up in the ATC Australian Derby. Hello Zane returns at a fee of $30,000 NZ plus GST as the best son of outstanding UK speed sire Kodiak, a son of Danehill. Embellish, a son of champion sire Savabeel, has a number of stakes performers as 2-year-olds, with his best results expected to come as they turn 3 later this year. He'll stand for $5,000 NZ plus GST. And new sire in 2022, Snitzel's Sort of State from an Encosta de Lago mare, is expected to continue the great reputation of the 4-time champion Australian Stallion as a sire of sires. He'll have a fee of $15,000 NZ plus GST, with his first foals due to arrive in coming months. One of the world's outstanding judges of a yearling, David Ellis, and his dynamic and hugely popular wife, Karen Fenton Ellis, make a huge contribution to the Australasian breeding and racing industry. They regularly bring in clients to racehorses with them. They manage them to great success. And I caught up with David earlier in the year to find out more about their syndication model and their current racing stars.
Can't be denied, it is 7 straight for the Tangerine.
David, wonderful to see you again here at Karaka and as usual buying up a storm for Akau and all your great clients. But Congratulations again. It's like every year we're talking about a Karaka Millions 2-year-old winner.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Something that I never thought that we'd ever be able to do, but to win 7 in a row is just the biggest thrill that anybody could ever have in racing. So we're back here trying to do it again.
I'm sure it's quite likely it'll happen again next year, but it's really interesting the numbers you have in that 2-year-old field. And it shows, and people sort of don't really understand, you know, it might be like a trainer in Sydney having a lot of horses in a race. You have individual clients, and every single one of those horses is as important as the other.
Exactly, for sure. This year we had half the field. It doesn't get any easier. Actually, this year I thought at the turn, the one I liked was 2 lengths last, and I thought we're no hope to win it this year. I was on my way with a smile on my face to congratulate the winners, and next minute this horse came down the outside, Tokyo Tycoon, and won it. So it was just a huge thrill.
Melody Bell holding them.
And the thing with those horses too, and we've seen it with so many horses for so many years that you've had winning it, they go on. And not only the winners, but a horse like Trobriand or those sorts of horses, there's so much scope to continue on and get their owners another great payday.
Well, we don't buy horses to win 2-year-old races. We buy horses that we think can race at 2, but they've got to have the scope to go on and be better at 3, 4 and 5.
And the owners, are they different in terms of what they approach you that they would like? I mean, do they sort of say, well, I saw you bought this horse, this is what I want, or do they say, you tell us what you think would be good for us to be in? Do they, some want a 2-year-old winner? Do some say, look, hey, we'd like something that'll give us thrills for years to come?
Yeah, most of our owners leave it to me and Karen and just say, find us a good horse. Occasionally somebody will say we'd like a stayer, so we buy, you know, a few staying types, a few guineas types, a few size produce types, bit of everything. And
it's a great team. I mean, your gorgeous wife Karen, she's so dynamic. How could anyone say no if she's saying, you know, come and join the syndicate? And it's a party, isn't it, for your owners?
Absolutely, yep. And she's just putting a girls' syndicate together, and they all go and have lunches together, and they have come to the farm together and have a few drinks and inspect the horses that they buy, and yeah, they just love it.
Are things sort of progressing in trying to streamline and work out the wagering scenario and sort of try and move towards a brighter future from a prize money point of view?
Ellis, when they get their Strathair track going in 12 months' time, their average race is going to be worth $100,000. We're looking forward to having the Karaka Million 2- and 3-year-old race back there next year. So there is some good news coming out.
And you must be through it. I mean, seeing Jamie Richards, we all knew. I mean, it's sad that you lost him from Te Akau here in New Zealand and, of course, in Australia effectively. But Mark is doing a fabulous job. But great to see Jamie, because he's a real protege of yours, isn't he?
Oh, it's just fantastic to see him doing so well. It's a great thrill to see Mark come back and break every record in the book that's ever happened in New Zealand racing. So it's a win for everybody.
The level of bloodstock here, how do you find it? Do you find it's changed at all? I mean, we see a whole lot of new stallions, your Poisiers and, you know, Perencantos, Vadamos. There's so many young stallions coming through as well, of course, Savabeel and some of the ones that have done so well. Is it a real changing of the guard? Do you think they have what it takes to go on and become the great stallions?
I think that a stallion like Prasia does, for sure. I think Perencanto, they need a bit of time, but they're really good 3, 4, 5-year-olds. But we've got some really nice young sires that are a chance at the moment, like the Super Seth, for example. He's got to be a great chance, and we're trying to buy some at the sale.
So seeing a horse like Sort of State, then they go on and they go to stud too. I mean, that's so rewarding, isn't it? That you're justified, you know, they can win the big races and then find a home at stud.
Yes, so we've got 8 stallions at stud at the moment, 2 at the Great New Haven Farm, Extravagant, Cool as a Beel. We've got 2 at Cambridge Stud, Embellish and Sort of State. Novares at Waikato Stud. Heroic Fellas in Queensland at Raheen. So yeah, we've got them well spread out.
And then the broodmares too. I mean, your wonderful Probabeel that of course you bought and then raced for Brendan and Joe Lindsay. You know, the next generation coming through. It's really exciting. You create a dynasty, you know, for people that only really follow the racing. They don't know a lot about this breeding industry.
Yeah, well, you won't ever see a better filly than Probabeel. She was the 28th of November foal, She won both the Cracker Million 2-year-old and 3-year-old race. She won 4 Group 1s in Australia. She was just as good a filly as you'd ever have in the stable.
And that's the whole point, isn't it? It's that knowledge of the ones that really achieve on the racetrack, and then people come and see this. This is just inspirational, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic sales complex, and it's great to see the Australians here.
Outstanding contributors to the industry, and great to see the continued success of Te Akau racing. Coming up on Bred to Win, ATC director and racing owner of the star mare Icebath, David McGrath, with an early 90s champion in Arrowfield Studs, horse who made you love racing.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to grow up, or unfortunate enough to grow up in Perth, so we watched most of our great racing on television, and the horse that really stuck with me was Superimpose. I mean, I just remembered the big chestnut coming from so far back in fields and winning those classic miles, both in Sydney and in Melbourne. I remember seeing him, luckily enough, at Flemington during the carnival, and I saw him so far away from the winning post as I was down the straight. I was probably at the 250 metre mark, and I thought he'd won, and he actually ran 4th. He just had all heart, and he just did things with big weights, and he did the impossible, and that's where I really, to this day, I still would love to have a horse or see horses that come back from fields and do those things. Superimpose is the one for me.
And of course, since then, obviously you've owned Icebath, or you've just sold at the Chairman's sale, and you're on the board of the Australian Turf Club. It really drives an interest to want to be involved in the industry, doesn't it, when you get excited by these first great horses that you see in the flesh?
It is, it really is, and Superimpose, he was the first for me. Then there was the Kingston Towns, and then I saw Makybe Diva, and I thought we'd never see another Makybe Diva. Then we had Black Caviar, and then I thought, wow, we've got this great run of mares, and then all of a sudden Winx came through. And they're the horses that get you excited, and now it might be the Animos, you know, and we had a brief glimpse of him, and now he's off to stud. But they're the ones that people talk about, and they're the ones that people want to come to the races and see, and young people coming through know the names. They know the jockeys, they know the horses, a little bit to the trainers, but you know, they're the things, they're our pulling power, they're our star power, and they're the ones that are going to get people to the races. So bring on the next superstar coming through. I don't know who that might be, but we've had some great ones lining up. You know, we've had the likes of I Wish I Win, Giga Kick. The next generation's there, and I can't wait to see them come through and do great things.
Incredible the passion that some horses instill in people. That's it for this week on Bred to Win. Don't miss next week's show as we find out more about Thoroughbred Breeders Australia's TBA Learning, an online series of videos explaining the basics for new staff and current workers in the breeding industry. And from a famous family but forging a career of her own in the thoroughbred industry, we catch up with the delightful Antoinette Inglis. That and much more next week. I'm Caroline Searcy. I look forward to seeing you then.
Bred to Win, brought to you by Arrowfield, the home of 4-time champion sire Snitzel.